The Valari delegation ship descended through Earth's atmosphere with the grace of a falling leaf. Its silver hull reflected the morning sun as it approached the designated landing zone outside Geneva. Inside, Ambassador Thielen adjusted his ceremonial robes and smiled. This was going to be easy. Humanity was young. Humanity was weak. Humanity would bend. For 300 years, the Valari Dominion had expanded across the galaxy using the same method. They would arrive at a primitive world, offer friendship, establish trade agreements, and slowly drain the planet of its resources, while the natives smiled and thanked them for their generosity. It had worked on the Koran. It had worked on the Meshani. It had worked on 17 other species, who were now little more than servants in the Dominion's vast empire. Thielen looked at his datapad. Earth, a small blue world with a population of 8 billion. They had only achieved faster-than-light travel 2 decades ago. Their military technology was laughable compared to Valari standards. Their ships were slow and poorly armored. Their weapons were primitive projectile systems backed by weak energy weapons. This would take perhaps 5 years, maybe 10, before Earth became another jewel in the Dominion's crown. The ship landed. Thielen walked down the ramp with his advisors following behind him. Human officials waited on the tarmac with their hands clasped in front of them. They wore dark suits and polite expressions. Thielen found their appearance strange. They were bipedal like the Valari, but their skin came in various shades and their eyes held an intensity that was slightly unsettling. Secretary General Maria Santos stepped forward and extended her hand. Thielen had studied human customs. He reached out and shook it firmly. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador," she said. "We are honored by your visit." "The honor is ours," Thielen replied through his translation device. "The Valari Dominion has watched your species with great interest. We believe a partnership would benefit us both." Santos smiled, but something flickered in her eyes. Something Thielen could not quite identify. "We look forward to discussing the terms," she said. They were led to a conference room in a nearby building. The room was simple by Valari standards. Plain walls, a long table, and comfortable chairs. Thielen noticed that the windows offered a clear view of the surrounding mountains. It was meant to be calming, he supposed. A way to put guests at ease. The negotiations began. Thielen presented the standard offer. The Valari would provide advanced technology and protection from hostile alien races in exchange for mining rights, agricultural exports, and the establishment of Valari military bases on Earth. It was a generous offer, at least on paper. The fine print would come later, once the humans were properly dependent. The human delegation listened quietly. They asked questions. They took notes. They requested time to consider the proposal. Thielen agreed. He was patient. He had done this many times before. What Thielen did not know was that while he sat in that comfortable conference room, something was happening in the depths of space. Admiral Chun Wei stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, the flagship of Earth's newly formed interstellar defense fleet. Around her, officers worked at their stations with focused efficiency. On the main screen, a holographic map showed the positions of 17 hidden vessels, each one carrying enough firepower to crack a small moon. "Status report," she said. "All ships in position, Admiral," her tactical officer replied. "Weapon systems online. Targeting solutions loaded. We have locks on their mothership, their escort carriers, and every support vessel in their fleet." Chun nodded. She looked at the Valari Armada floating peacefully near Jupiter's orbit. There were 40 ships in total. The Valari had brought them as a show of strength, a reminder of what happened to species that refused their generous offers. It was a standard intimidation tactic. Bring your fleet. Let the primitives see your power and watch them fall in line. The Valari did not know that Earth had been preparing for this moment for 15 years. It had started with a warning. A dying Koran merchant had crashed on Earth's moon and was rescued by a mining crew. Before he died, he had told them everything. He told them about the Valari and their methods. He told them about the lies and the manipulation. He told them about his own world, now stripped bare and lifeless, its people scattered across the galaxy as slaves. He begged the humans to listen. He begged them to prepare. Earth's governments had dismissed alien contact as fantasy for centuries, but faced with undeniable proof, they were forced to act. In secret, the world's nations came together. They pooled resources. They shared technology. They built ships that the Valari would never see coming. The Valari relied on energy shields that could absorb almost any weapon. Their ships were designed to be impervious to beam weapons and plasma fire. But during those 15 years of preparation, human scientists had studied the Corran merchant's ship. They had analyzed its systems. They had found the weakness. The Valari shields were calibrated to stop energy-based attacks. They were virtually useless against high-velocity kinetic projectiles. Humanity had spent centuries perfecting the art of throwing very heavy things very fast at their enemies. From rocks to arrows to bullets to shells, humans had never abandoned the philosophy that a solid object traveling at sufficient speed could solve most problems. The ships hiding in the asteroid belt carried railguns capable of accelerating tungsten rods to a fraction of light speed. Each round carried enough kinetic energy to punch through a Valari cruiser from bow to stern. The Valari had never encountered such weapons because no other species had ever thought to use them. To the Valari, kinetic weapons were primitive, outdated, the tools of savages who had not yet discovered proper energy manipulation. They were about to learn that primitive did not mean ineffective. Back on Earth, the negotiations continued for 3 days. Thielen grew more confident with each session. The humans asked excellent questions about trade routes and technology sharing. They seemed genuinely interested in Valari culture and history. They even laughed at his jokes. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. On the 4th day, Secretary General Santos stood up during a break in negotiations. She walked to the window and looked out at the mountains. Thielen approached her, ready to offer another piece of friendly advice about the benefits of cooperation. "Ambassador," Santos said without turning around, "I want to show you something." She pressed a button on a small device in her hand. The large screen on the wall flickered to life. Thielen turned to look and felt his blood freeze. The screen showed a tactical display of the space around Jupiter. His fleet was highlighted in red. Surrounding it, appearing from behind asteroids and moons, were 17 green markers. Human ships. Each one had a firing solution locked on multiple Valari vessels. "What is this?" Thielen whispered. "This is reality, Ambassador," Santos replied. She finally turned to face him. That strange flicker in her eyes was now a cold fire. "We know about the Corran. We know about the Mashani. We know about every species you have conquered and enslaved under the pretense of friendship." Thielen's hands trembled. "This is impossible. Your technology cannot match ours. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your shields are calibrated for energy weapons," Santos said. "Our ships carry railguns, kinetic projectiles traveling at nearly the speed of light. Your shields will slow them down about as effectively as tissue paper stops a bullet." Thielen stared at the screen. He watched as more green markers appeared. Human ships were coming from everywhere, from the asteroid belt, from behind Mars, from hidden bases on the moons of Saturn. There were now over 50 vessels surrounding his fleet. "You were prepared," he said. His voice was hollow. "We have been prepared for 15 years, Santos confirmed. While you set up talks, we set up targeting systems. While your diplomats offered us friendship, our engineers built weapons specifically designed to destroy your ships. While you planned our enslavement, we planned your defeat." Thielen's mind raced. He could call for reinforcements, but the nearest Dominion fleet was 3 weeks away. He could order his ships to attack, but they were outnumbered and outpositioned. He could threaten, but threats meant nothing when the enemy had guns pointed at your head. "What do you want?" he finally asked. "I want you to understand something," Santos said. She stepped closer to him. "Humanity is not like the Koran or the Mashani. We do not trust easily. We do not submit quickly. We have spent our entire history fighting each other, and we have become very, very good at it." She paused. "When an unknown ship crashed on our moon and its dying pilot warned us about a galaxy full of predators, we did not panic. We did not despair. We prepared. We built ships in secret. We developed weapons in hidden facilities. We trained soldiers without anyone knowing, and we waited." Thielen swallowed hard. "If you destroy our fleet, the Dominion will send 1,000 ships to burn your world." "Perhaps," Santos admitted. "But here is what you need to understand, Ambassador. We are not going to destroy your fleet. We are going to let you go home. We are going to let you tell the Dominion exactly what happened here. Let them send their 1,000 ships. Let them send 10,000. Every fleet that comes to our world will find the same thing waiting for them." She pointed at the screen. "We will meet diplomacy with diplomacy when it is genuine. But when someone comes to our door with lies in their mouth and chains in their hands, we will meet them with fire and steel. That is the human way. That is what your Dominion will face if they choose to make an enemy of Earth." Thielen looked at the screen again. His proud armada was surrounded, vulnerable, helpless. The humans had outsmarted the Volari at every turn. They had smiled and nodded and taken notes while their ships moved into position in the darkness of space. They had shaken hands and shared meals while their weapons locked onto targets. It was the most terrifying thing Thielen had ever witnessed. "You may leave in peace, Ambassador," Santos said. "Tell your masters what you have seen. Tell them that Earth is not for sale. Tell them that humanity is not a species to be conquered. And tell them that if they ever threaten our world again, we will not stop at defense. We will bring the war to them." Thielen gathered his delegation and left Earth the same day. His ships retreated from the solar system without firing a single shot. As they jumped to faster-than-light speed, the human fleet watched them go. Admiral Chun stood on the bridge of the Defiance and allowed herself a small smile. "Stand down weapons," she ordered, "but stay alert. This is not over." She knew the Dominion would return eventually. They would come with larger fleets and better preparations. But Earth would be ready. Earth was always ready now. The days of humanity looking up at the stars with innocent wonder were over. Now they looked up with determination, with readiness, with the cold understanding that the universe was dangerous and survival belonged to those who fought for it. The Volari had taught the galaxy that diplomacy was a weapon, a tool for the strong to manipulate the weak. Humanity had learned that lesson well, but they had added their own lesson to the textbook. When predators come to your door wearing the mask of friendship, you smile at them, shake their hands, and make sure your guns are loaded before they realize the mask has slipped. The Dominion would learn this lesson the hard way if they ever returned. And somewhere in the cold depths of space, the spirit of a dead Karan merchant finally rested in peace, knowing his warning had not been in vain. Earth was awake. Earth was armed. And Earth was no one's prey.